Hey guys, thank you so much for joining once again. My name is Bohlale, and all of you are here because you're interested in understanding what kind of CV template do we need for the corporate space. A lot of you are wanting to know this because you want your CV to stand out, and that is what I'm going to take you through today. So the importance of your CV standing out once again is because so many people are applying for particular roles that you are also interested in. And like I said in my previous video, it's important for you as you're looking through your CV and as you're writing your CV that you're also making it attractive to the eye. But one thing I want to caution you to, a perfect CV template does not mean you're going to get hired, right? It's the information that's in the CV that's going to get you hired. So make sure that as you're doing your template and as you're going through it, you go back to my previous video where I talk you through what are some of the important information that you should be putting in there and how you go about doing it. So for this video, I'm going to take you through two different CV templates. They're similar. One has a picture, one doesn't have a picture. But as you all know, I love the picture one, but it's not a must at all. So if you prefer not to have a CV template that looks like this and that looks like this, then absolutely fine, because at the end of the day, it's about the content, it's about how neat it is, it's about all the detail that you put in. That is the most important. So stick with me as I take you through both templates and give you some of the intricacies around the structure of it, how much information to put in and where, so that you can elevate your CV to the next level and make sure that you're standing out. So this is one of the first templates that I wanted to show you guys. And as I start this, I really want to reiterate to you guys, you don't have to go and create a replica of this, right? But I'm trying to show you this is how a well put together CV looks like. And I'm going to talk you through what are some of those elements that make it something that looks attractive, right? So as I've said to you guys already, my preference always is to have a CV that has a picture, because when you see the person's face, as you're reading through it, you kind of have a visual representation of who it is you're thinking about as you read through this information. And for me, it just looks a lot more attractive than one that doesn't have. But I'm saying all of this not to say that you cannot use one that does not have a picture. I will go into a template that doesn't have a picture and show you how that looks. But I'm just showing you this as an option for those of you that want to use a picture. This is certainly one of the templates that you can go to. What are some of the key information that people look for is this, right? Your name, your current title, and then you go into the personal, the education, the experience, and then typically people then want to kind of see with education, what have been some of the achievements. That's why I've put it on the left there. With experience, what have been some of the skills that you've gained with your experience? So you kind of reading it concurrently, right? And that's why I've put it in the way that I have. So as you see it, you have a picture there. You make sure your picture looks professional, right? So don't put up a picture where you look like you are on the beach or you look like you're at a party. Make sure that the background is as clean as possible and that you look professional in your picture. And another tip for the picture, make sure that you are smiling in your picture. Please, we don't want to see mugshots. We want to see a pleasant and friendly picture, right? And typically what you'll see is that in certain CVs underneath it, people put their title, right? So because you're a student, I'd suggest you kind of say law student, engineering student, aspiring lawyer, whatever the case may be, whatever title you kind of want to attach to your name, you can put it underneath your name, right? Then the next things that are important that I want you to keep in mind is the personal profile, right? The little bit, the little sentence that you have about yourself, that always needs to come first, and then contact details as well. So those two things need to be some of the key things that you put up first in your profile, because as I look at a CV, the first thing I want to know, who is this person? And then I'm going to read through the personal details. So under your personal profile, you write a couple of sentences about yourself. You'll read here what I've put together. It's not complete because I'm just giving you a sense of the type of things that you can say in your profile. So I've mentioned my age here. I've mentioned what I'm currently studying and at which university. I've also started the sentence saying I'm excited about a career in banking because, and this is where it becomes very important for you to tailor your CV according to where you're applying to. Then you put down a sentence about why it is that you want to work for banking and what kind of exposure you think you want to gain there. And then I also mentioned in my spare time, I tutor this particular course. I also coach swimming at this particular high school. And one of the things I love doing is playing chess. I definitely see myself as, then you put some adjectives that describe you, right? Remember, stay away from things like hardworking, committed, dedicated. Speak to 2 or 3 adjectives that are going to explain a little bit more about who you are as a person. But also, if you know what that role that you're applying for, what it's looking for in the banking industry, if you know what that is, and there are a couple things that you know are going to speak to it, being open-minded is a big thing in corporate, right? It's important for you to come in, be able to work with certain people, being engaging, being analytical. Obviously, you know, as an engineering student, that's one of the key things that we'd look for. Someone that is analytical by nature. We assume that you are just because you study engineering. So you use keywords that are going to describe you and that are not generic. And then you finish off with saying, I'm keen to utilize these skills that I've mentioned here meaningfully towards my career as a banking analyst, right? So you kind of finish it in that way. So what I've described here is my age, where I'm studying, what I'm studying, why I'm excited about a career in that particular industry, what I do in my spare time as well, and then why I see myself being the perfect fit for this kind of role, and why I think I can use my skills to contribute meaningfully towards it, right? So once I've read this, I'm like, oh, okay, everything correlates here. Everything speaks to each other. The fact that you're engineering, the fact that you're wanting to go into banking, you've given me a good reason why. It's interesting to see that, you know, what you tutor is something up the alley maybe of what an engineering student would be doing. The fact that you coach swimming and that you love playing chess. The fact that you play chess, once again, goes back to the fact that you're an analytical person. You can think deeply, right? And loving to coach swimming. Swimming could be something that you enjoy in your spare time. Great. I have a good sense of the kind of person I'm speaking about. And the things that they mention correlate. That's the important piece. The next section here, then you go straight into education. I find a lot of times that when I look at CVs for students, what I want to see first is education as opposed to your experience. I'll go to experience after education, right? Remember that as a student, one of the key things that we look at is whether you have the qualification for the role that you're applying for and whether this is the type of qualification we're looking for. And then after that, we're interested to see what are some of your extracurricular activities or some of your experience, right? But what you'll find is that in an experienced person, someone that has experience, what I want to find out first is what kind of experience do you have? And then we'll go to your education. So you'll find that experience and education are 2 areas that are swapped around. Once you've had a bit of experience in a particular industry and you've worked for a couple of years, then you will reorder these 2 sections. But as a graduate, I think it's important to always start with your education. So you start with the university you've gone to, and also then if you have studied an undergrad and a postgrad, you start with your postgrad. You make sure that the year in which you completed your postgrad is reflective here, and then you go on to your undergrad. You tell me the years in which you studied once again. And if you want to, this is a great place to maybe highlight that one key achievement for you during the time at university. But what you'll see is that I've also included it under achievements on this side. And I've done that on purpose because I wanted to show you guys the difference. So you're welcome to keep one here. But if you keep it here, maybe take it out on this side, or vice versa, right? So that's where it's also a great place to kind of put a key achievement. Then you go on to your high school, when you received your national senior certificate, in which year. It's great for you to be able to highlight if you've had some distinctions, just say 6 distinctions. You don't then need to go into detail about which subjects you got distinctions on. We'll go to your matric certificate to see which ones you did. And so you highlight 6 distinctions or 5 distinctions. And if you were a head girl or some other kind of significant achievement, that's where you'll put it right here as well, okay? So it's just a way of really just finishing up and wrapping up the section that you're speaking about by highlighting an achievement. The next section that you have on this side is your experience section. So this is where you go through some of the extracurricular activities that you do. So once again, swimming coach is something that Bohlale has been doing during this time. You'll mention what your title was or what it is you were doing, where you did it, so the name of the high school, also the time frame in which you've done it. So from this particular year until present, which means it's something you still continue to do now. And you mentioned that you're a part-time swimming coach for the senior class, right? And once again, whatever you put here needs to correlate to what you've said here. If you've spoken about extracurriculars here, make sure they correlate here. But not to say that everything you put under experience section needs to go into personal. You put in personal what you think is relevant for the person that's reading. And then you put under experience what you have actually completed and what you've done and been involved in at university. So that's how you'll maybe wrap up the experience section over here. Now when we go to the left column, what you'll see is the first thing there's contact. So your cell number, make sure that it's correct. Also your email address. And then here from an address perspective, you just say suburb, the city and province. That will be sufficient. And then you go into your achievements, right? And then you list your achievements here. Under skills, here once again, like I said in my previous video, this is where you can list some of the skills that you feel you've attained over time. So being problem solving, computer science skills, analytical thinker, all of this as I read it correlates to the fact that you're an engineering student, right? It correlates to some of the things you've said here in your personal statement. And then the fact that you think you're great at communication, well, I'll see when I'm interviewing you. But also the leadership position correlates because if you're president of the school council, it makes sense that you have attained some leadership skills. So this is what I was speaking about in my previous video where I said to you guys, as you put down skills, make sure that the skills that you've put in are things that you can actually speak to in terms of experiences that you have gained during the time you've been at university, and you need to be able to back it up. Lastly, another section that tends to go into a CV, which is great to have. I think going through your interests or your hobbies is something that you can put down here. Keep it quite short here. I think definitely if there's no space in your CV, this is an area that you can leave out. But I do think it's something nice to have. If you don't have 3 bullet points like this, you could most certainly say running, comma, traveling, comma, tutoring. So mention a handful of things that you do as part of your interests, because that's always a great way for us to get insight into who you are as a person and holistically. So guys, as you can see, this is the first template that I wanted to show you. And this for me is a template that says that you've taken care. It gives me just enough information. This is the best way to structure it, and this is how you maximize the space in your CV so that you can achieve that one-pager. So as you can see from the previous template, it's so important for you to know how to structure your CV. You could have a beautiful template that looks like this, but at the end of the day, if you're starting off with skills at the top and you've got the most important information at the bottom, and even in that important information, it's incorrectly ordered, then it still feels like a little bit of a mess. So make sure that you're implementing the information in the correct order with the right template, and that will be a winning CV. So guys, as you can see, this is the second template, and this is really just one that I wanted to show you that does not have a picture. So what you'll find is that because there's no picture taking up the space, you then have to utilize the space quite well, and that's why I've put everything centrally here. So once again, the most important thing is to make sure that your name and surname are the biggest and boldest text on the actual CV, that it takes up the majority of this section here. What you'll find is that I've obviously then put engineering student underneath here, so whatever title you want to put, you can still manage to put it there. What you'll see notably that I've moved is the contact details. So you'll notice from the previous one, I had contact details here and the personal information was over here. But now that there's a lot of space here, what I've tried to do is minimize the amount of space required on both sides by moving the contact details up here where it's still clear, still visible in a great space, but also the personal details now have moved to the left instead of leaving them here. The reason why I've done that is because if personal details stayed here and we still had education sitting here and we still had experience at the bottom, if I left achievements where it was before, what you'll find is that in this column on the left, you'll have a small section for achievement, a small section for skill, a small section for interest. Before you know it, it's all ended somewhere here, and then it just doesn't balance it out, right? So at the end of the day, you want the amount of information put on the right to almost be balanced out somewhat to the information put on the left. So that is why I've decided to put contact details up here. That gives me great space to be able to put personal information here on the left, because that's what's going to help take up some of the space on the left. But then the most important things are still there. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that and that you're feeling a lot more confident about the type of templates that you could be using. And I know most of you are probably wondering, where do I even start? Like, where do I get these templates, right? So I found an amazing app that I've been using for some of my templates that I think could work for you as well. So check out Canva. Canva is a great place to go through, type in CV. It's a free app. Type in CV and you can get lots of different CV templates, but you actually have to do your CV template on the app, and then you can download it and maybe save it to yourself or send it to yourself, and that's how you're going to get the perfect template. So make sure that you go through, there's a range of templates that you can use there. Make sure that you go through that thoroughly and see which template you'd like. One caution though, please don't go too colorful. I've seen in Canva there's a lot of different templates that you could be using, and some of them are really colorful and absolutely not for the market that you guys are probably trying to go for. If you are an artist and you are more in the creative space of things, you can maybe try something a little bit more creative. But if you are looking to get into a corporate space, then please keep the colors clean, keep it neat, and make sure that it best represents you. The important thing about your picture, make sure that you look as professional as possible. Make sure that you smile. We don't want any mug shots. Make sure that you're smiling, and make sure that you are putting up the best information that you can possible, highlighting your achievements all the time, because that's what's going to make you stand out. So I hope that was helpful, guys, and I really hope that you're able to now go forth with confidence, build that CV that's going to make you stand out, and prepare yourself for the interview phase of your career. And thank you guys for spending time with me today. Really hoping that you're feeling a little bit more corporate ready with every video that you are watching. Looking forward to hearing more from you guys, and stay tuned for more tips around how you can get yourself interview ready. And as and when you guys are sending through comments and questions, I will be crafting some more videos to try help address some of those. But we are going to go into the interview stage of things now. So look out for how you can get yourself prepared for interviews, those typical questions that some of you are very afraid of answering. I'm going to go through those things at length. So looking forward to still seeing you guys in many more videos to come.